Well, good morning and welcome, councillors, staff, members of the gallery, and next Urannah Shire Councillor, Councillor Pat Day down the back corner. Good to see you. Federation Council wishes to advise members of the public gallery that council meetings will be recorded and will be available after each meeting on council's website. All care will be taken to maintain the privacy of those in attendance. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the public gallery, it is assumed your consent is given in the event of the image is broadcast. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting today, the Bangarang people, and acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who now reside in this area. I extend that respect to elders past, present of the Bangarang nations. I'll now call for apologies.
One apology, Mr Mayor, from Director of Engineering Services, Steve Carmichael, and acting in his place is Mr Lee Ashford.
Thank you, Lee.
Recommendation.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Applications for leave of absence. Confirmation of minutes. Would someone like to move the recommendation that minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 25th of June 2019 to be confirmed? Moved by Councillor Longley, seconded by Councillor Wales. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Disclosures of interest. There be none. We'll move on to the mayoral minute. 6.1, saving our recycling. Councillors, it's a push from state shires to get 100% of the waste levy put back into recycling. There's a recommendation there. 6 points, no doubt you've all read that. Would someone like to move that recommendation? Moved by Councillor Thomas, seconded by Councillor Meagle. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Any discussion, councillors? Councillor Thomas. I'm sorry?
I was very fortunate to attend the local government conference for New South Wales in Albury last year, and I was actually really proud to be able to watch the video link presented by our President of New South Wales, Linda Scott, in terms of our Save Our Recycling. It was an exciting moment considering we just had a presentation from the War on Waste, Craig Riscarel, and so it really led into it really well. And I actually sent out a challenge to all my fellow councillors and to everyone else sitting in the room today to actually click on that link and become a recycling campaigner. And the more and more people that we get to become recycling campaigners, it just proves that we are committed to reusing our waste. So as elected representatives, let's step up and support this great campaign by clicking on that link and getting that information out to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Meagle.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Having recently visited some Scandinavian and European countries, it's obvious that Australia is a long, long way behind in its recycling. I think it's really important that the government invest in this program and we really push for them to return that investment into that industry, because while we are blessed with so much space at the moment, we're a long way behind the technology and the industry that and the infrastructure that's required for recycling. So very happy to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Meagle.
I might just make a quick comment on the RAMJO side of things as well, because I think we, as council, we've moved several motions, not only around waste to energy, but about sustainability and pushing forward more aggressively into those spaces. And whilst we're looking at some resources, additional resources in our waste section as a council, and I think I fully support the LG New South Wales push because they're successful in other areas when they do take this big approach like that, but we also need to be really working with our RAMJO, because any of these decisions should be right across the region, if not RAMJO and the Riverina JO. So I really want to impress on the councillors that there's some great work happening, just starting, but it's working pretty quickly under RAMJO and those subgroups on waste and energy. So we're really going to keep focus on that.
Excellent. Councillor Wales.
Thanks, Steve. Yes, it's very important recycling to our community, and I'd just like to say that I clicked on the link to be a member of this group, so thank you.
Excellent, Councillor Wales. Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 7, the General Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Item 7.1, councillors, is the Yarrawonga Mulwala Bridge Survey results. So this report provides council with the results of the recent survey of the postcode 2647 Mulwala, and that survey was off the back of previous council resolution to gauge the community's interest or views on the proposed routes for the new bridge over Lake Mulwala, and that came essentially as a request from the Moira Shire Council to reconsider the former Cora Shire position of endorsing the grey route. So the council had deliberated at length on the process and how to run a survey effectively, efficiently and practically and I suppose in a most robust way that would be able to be done like that. So that was undertaken through a certified survey company. We were able to use the electoral roll data from the New South Wales Electoral Commission, and that data went back into the company who received all those results and tabulated the results. So it's certainly just a summary report. It does talk to some of the issues and some of the processes we went through, and coming up with those results which I have there, which was 70% in favour of option 1 being the green route, 30% in option 2 being the grey route. 6 responses out of the over 800 odd did not, 867, sorry, so out of 867, 6 did not clearly indicate any particular option. They actually ticked both, and the rest of them came back like that. So about a 55% return rate. So comments from the company that ran that survey said that's a very strong response rate for a voluntary survey. So I know it's a very divisive issue as well, but the recommendation there before council is to note the report, consider the results and determine a position, and then continue on with seeking meetings with the relevant agencies and particularly Moira Shire and both governments, state governments, to pursue this bridge as a matter of urgency. So that's there for council to consider.
Thank you. Can I have a mover for that recommendation, moved by Councillor Thomas?
With an amendment, point 2?
With an amendment for an extra point or point 2 on that?
No, with an amendment.
With amendment. Thank you. Okay.
Would you like to read that out so we can get that
The
up?
amendment, please.
So it's just to amend point 2 within the recommendation that occurs on our business paper, that council endorse the survey results and recommend the green route alignment over Lake Mulwala for the new bridge.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Would I have a seconder for that?
No, I'd like to talk against it.
I'll
We just need a seconder
I'll just get a seconder first.
And
Second-
recommend?
Do you want me to reread?
I'll wait until it's up and then we can
Alignment,
clarify that you're happy with it.
and then delete all the next bit. Yeah, what was the next bit, sorry, Councillor Thomas? So we've got that council endorse the survey results and recommend the green route alignment
Over Lake Mulwala for the new bridge.
over Lake Mulwala for the new bridge. And we'll delete the last section. You're happy with point 3? So all those 3 are there, you just need a seconder or
So
two.
you're going to burn Councillor Whitechurch?
Comments for it? Thomas, speak for it.
Councillor Thomas, would you like to speak for that?
Yeah. Federation Council has already established a path of engaging formally with our community to gain the best possible outcome. For example, the Corridor Pool and the Howlong Recreation Reserve upgrade, which was a joint partnership. We should be proud of our achievements, and as elected members, this process reflects and confirms our community's vision, purpose and goals into the long-term future, which leads to clarity for this recommendation to Council.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Can I have a speaker against him then? Councillor Longmire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I commence by saying I did support the opportunity to conduct a survey under the association with the New South Wales Electoral Commission, who were able to provide the addresses of respondents within the Mulwala postcode. I did not support the intrusion of the democratic method of the survey, whereby within 3 days by the Green Route advocacy with leaflets delivered to mailboxes in Mulwala with gross misinformation. I will not succumb to being influenced by a former Mayor of Moira Council who on television last Friday night asking for any council that voted against the Green Route from Federation Council to resign if they did not support it. As somebody that's been on the journey since 2009, as detailed in the $7 million planning project This is not about a freight bypass. It clearly demonstrates 95% of surveyed vehicles that were surveyed at the time were classified as light vehicles, cars and use, etc. and 5% were trucks, buses or articulated vehicles. That is in the report. And by design, the grey route caters for the heavy vehicle flow bypassing Belmore Street in Yarrawonga. The leaflet distributed by the Green Advocates promotes at least 4 misinformation criteria. One is that the green route joins Melbourne Street near the Tons of Fun complex. The survey option clearly shows via Gula Road. The second is a proposed future bypass alongside the railway line in Mulwala, which has never been announced by Council and also the New South Wales State Agency, the Roads and Maritime Service, has never been itemised and identified. Thirdly, the cost estimation at the time of investigation was described by the lead agency, Vic Roads, as, quote, roughly the same in broad figures of $80 million for either the green or the grey route. And fourth, the claim that by keeping the old bridge will be pursuant to walking and cycling, whereas no government entity, including both shires, Moora and Federation, and both state governments have enlisted claim to maintain the old bridge. And let's not forget the opportunity is in the grey route designed for safe walking, cycling and extra alongside the roadway. Mr Mayor, I request an opportunity to table the leaflets distributed throughout Mulwala by the Green Rate Advocates. Have I permission to bring this forward? And secondly, Mr Mayor, if I may, through you, with your permission, ask a question without notice to the General Manager.
Yes, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, the report's there.
And I know it's without notice, Mr Mayor, but I believe if the General Manager hasn't got the opportunity or the capacity to answer it, I accept it. Okay. Mr Butler, as the Council survey was conducted with the understanding of the New South Wales Electoral Commission, could it be said that any distributed information affecting the outcome was illegal, if not registered, or at least identified within Council?
I'll take that on notice. Yeah, my view would be that it wouldn't be illegal. It wasn't an endorsed situation where people were standing for council. So it wasn't my understanding the Electoral Commission provided the data to allow the survey to happen, but it wasn't done as a poll or a plebiscite on an electoral matter. But I'll certainly seek advice on that matter. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Longmire.
Thank you for that. Can I just conclude, Mr.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I may? Thank you, Mr Butler. I really appreciate your honesty, as always. Really appreciate it. And finally, may I say that along with both the New South Wales and Victorian state governments and the silent majority of residents of Mulwala, I still support the grey route as a recommendation under the terms of reference for the study. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Longmire. Would there be any other speakers for the green route?
For the motion.
For the motion, I'm sorry, any other speakers for the motion? Councillor Whitechurch?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, if I could, I support the motion, and I realise it's been a very long journey that both the Corowa Shire and neighbouring shires have been involved with. We did decide, as Councillor Longmire highlighted, that we go to a survey. I look back at that September council meeting, and all of the councillors present and the ones that commented had said that the survey was the way to go and that the result would reflect what would happen. As Councillor Law said, that in that 2017 September meeting, that the results would reflect what the people wanted. I believe that, yes, Councillor Longmire has submitted the flyer, which I've been privy to have a look at, but I don't believe that the people of Mulwala would have been influenced by that flyer largely. Only because you look at people that hand out how to vote cards at an election, and if you've got your mind made up of who you're going to vote for or what you're going to vote, you'll go in and vote for that. As far as being influenced, I go back to the Marriage Equality Survey in 2017. There was a Marriage Equality Volunteer Committee that was set up, and I quote, "We had an enormous response with over 1 million phone calls being made by volunteers to support the marriage equality vote." Now, if the Electoral Commission thought that there was influencing happening, I would have thought that that would have been a fair influence to come out and say that. I believe the people of Mulwala have decided that by that survey that's what they're going to go with, and as a council we are ratepayer representatives, and I believe we had the survey, we spent the money, we have to back what the survey said. I don't believe that that would have been an influencing factor, given that so many people voted for the Green Route, 70%. Had it been close, would we be sitting here going it was influential? I still don't believe so. People make their own decision, and that's why I support the Green Route.
Thank you, Councillor Whitechurch. Do we have any other speaker against? Councillor Law.
As a councillor for the former Corowa Shire Council, I voted for the grey route. To me, that made most sense. It was the least disruption, to our ratepayers, and it was a sure way of going across. We've already been told by the two parties involved, Vic Roads and New South Wales Transport, that the grey route is the preferred route by them. It was also confirmed that the old bridge would not be remaining under any circumstances. I feel that this ongoing argument by the Moira Shire and the Green Route advocates is only leading towards the bridge being further and further away. It's going to take much longer if we've got to keep going through all of this. The leaflet that was put out, I think, is almost fraudulent. It had what appeared to be a Federation Shire Council head on it, letterhead, although it wasn't actually one. It did give that appearance, and I think that that is really wrong, and it can't be left that way. And also saying that if they take the grey route, the traffic will be still going down the main street, the heavy transport, that is absolutely wrong, because they'll be going out Irvine Parade, and we were also told that this week by Department of New South Wales Transport. For me, we're just holding things up. The sooner that the agreement is made and we agree with the two parties, New South Wales Transport and Vic Roads, and get on with it, the sooner the bridge will be built.
Thank you, Councillor Law. I think we've had a fair bit of conversation. Councillor Thomas, would you like I'm sorry, any more speakers for? Would like to speak before?
I just want to make a comment.
Councillor Kennedy?
Yeah, now, as a Mulwala councillor and born in the town, and I've been across that bridge, I wouldn't know how many million times. It's a big question, like, and I always said I didn't care where the bridge went, like, and now we've been surveyed, and they're talking about, Councillor Law said about disruption. The Green Route is probably less disruption getting built because the old bridge can stay open. What do we do if they build the grey route? How do we get across the town when we've got no bridge? Because the old bridge has got to come down to do the grey route. So, you know, I'm thinking for the disruption to the town, for the, whatever couple of years it takes to build a bridge, how do we get from Mulwala to Yarrawonga, especially for work, without having the wee bridge going to be shut in 2020, and we're talking another 12 years before this bridge is going to be built, how, without having the existing bridge open while they build the new bridge, I don't know how it's going to work. So that's the only one reason why I will be backing the Green Route, because it's just the disruption of, and the old bridge has got to go. It's done its time. It's past its use by date. That's my comment. It shouldn't stay, but they can't knock it down until they build a new one. And the Grey Route goes off the abutment of the existing bridge, which how do they build a bridge without pulling the old one down to build a new one over top of it? So that's one comment from me, which why I am backing the Green Route. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Beagle?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the critical factor here is that what we need to do is continue to connect Yarrawonga and Mulwala communities. In my opinion, the Grey Route is the best connection between the two communities, as the majority of transport across that current bridge is between Melbourne Road and Belmore Street. To actually take a user route that does not closely access Belmore Street is a little bit counterproductive in my mind. So the Grey Route, which allows a very easy access for light vehicles into Belmore Street while getting the heavy vehicles out past the Irvine Parade, to me makes the most sense. I think the grey route goes adjacent to the current bridge, not on top of, with all due respect to Councillor Kennedy, so I can't see why it can't be built. I think the real main issue is that we need to get it built. From what we've heard, we're number 3 on the list now of bridges across the Murray. We've got to really keep advocating as strong as we can, because with the impending closure of the Weir Bridge, it really does limit the connection between the two communities. I'm really disappointed with the incorrect information that was distributed as part of this survey, that has obviously, in my mind, had some effect on the results. I believe that as elected people, we are entrusted to make what we consider to be the best decision for the communities. I note the results of the survey. I still believe the grey route is the best way to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nagle. Councillor Wales, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. I'm also a former resident of Mulwala, and the survey results have shown what the people want, and I support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Wales. Councillors, have we exhausted the comments? If we have, we're at a point. Councillor Thomas, you were the mover. Would you like to speak in favour of the motion?
It's going with the elected first. So hence, I am asking all you in chamber today, and I'm going to use the word respect. If I could have it in capital letters with an exclamation mark, I would. Respect the 2647 community survey results in regards to the new bridge alignment over Lake Mulwala.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillors, I think we've come to a point. What we've done as a council has been correct. The information we've put out is correct and was correct. When we came onto council, we said we were going to listen to the people, put it out to the people, consult. We've done all that, so that was excellent. So I think on behalf of the council, we've done our part. It's a shame that some of these surveys get darkened. I saw in a recent election where stickers were put on back of signs, this slander. It always occurs. Always occurs. So people have got to be mindful of what they vote for and how they do that. But anyway, councillors, we've got to a point. I'm going to put it. All in favour? Against?
Recorded, please.
And so,
Carried. Can that be recorded, please, Rochelle? Councillor Nagle, Councillor Longmire, and Councillor Laws vote against. Carried. Thank you, councillors. Okay, we'll move on to the next one for the gentleman.
7.2, Mr Mayor, is federal government drought funding, drought community program. So after a long period of lobbying and advocacy, the Federation Council, along with a lot of others, were sort of in the lead up to the election. If the coalition was re-elected, at least that was the messaging we were getting, was deemed to be worthy of the $1 million drought community program. That's now come to fruition. Council's had a letter of offer, albeit we're still seeking some further terms and details on that, but we're certainly going to work on that. So the information report's there to note the report on the federal government drought community program. Recommendation 2 is to accept this funding offer, including fixing the seal to any documents if required. To consider projects eligible for funding under the $1 million grant and finalise those at the August council meeting, and to send a letter of thanks to our federal member, the Prime Minister, on that funding. So,
I think this one will be easier. I've got to move it. Thank you, Councillor Thomas.
With amendments and additions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Thomas. What would that be?
So I'd just like to amend point number 3. That council consider the project eligible for funding through engaging with the Federation Council Drought Support Steering Committee and finalise priorities at the August council meeting.
We have a seconder to that.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Seconded by Councillor Longmire.
with the Federation Council
Drought Support Steering Committee.
Yeah, we'll just get all those words up. Federation Council Drought Support Steering Committee.
Yeah. And finalise the priorities at the August council meeting.
And obviously any additions to that committee, Councillor Thomas? Any
Yeah.
additions to that committee, being councillor? Or would you use that?
I think we can still open it up to further discussion.
And that point 4, that,
And point 4, it's really quite minor, that council send a letter of thanks to federal member of FARA, the Honourable Susan Lee, and Prime Minister, the Honourable Scott Morrison, for the $1 million under the federal government's drought support program. I thought that you needed to remove the
Take
word
the offer
offer out of there, because it's not an offer anymore.
make sure we really get it.
We actually really get it. And we have to remember too that in a press release prior to the federal election, it was on a press release. So,
Second.
did you want me to do my additional 2 points?
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, I've got 2 more. Point number 5, if possible. That council liaise with the Coro District Landcare to investigate funding arrangements for a community support officer. Community support officer. And it says to investigate funding arrangements for a community.
Funding arrangements.
Arrangements for community support officer.
Yeah. Support officer.
Do you want me to reread it, Michelle?
Yeah.
No, that's fine. I can do that. That council liaise with Coro District Landcare to investigate funding arrangements for a community support officer. And just for clarification for Chamber on that point is that I've had correspondence from Coro District Landcare and they're really keen to implement one of these officers within our
Yeah,
community.
good. Just delete that last 6%. Yeah. And the next bit. Yeah. Now we're looking now. Council liaise with Coro District Landcare to investigate funding arrangements for a community support officer.
And number 6.
Number 6. Yeah.
That council engage with Riverina Plains to in-principle funding to the value of $30,000 for weather monitoring.
Just slow down a bit.
I'm sorry.
The council engage with Riverina Plains to...
Yeah, to in-principle funding.
To in-principle funding, yep.
Yeah. To the value of $30,000.
To the value of, yep.
$30,000
Yeah.
for weather monitoring stations in the Federation Council area. Full stop. Plus investigate, I put Bureau of Meteorology, but just put BOM because we all investigate Bureau of Meteorology standards for weather data collection.
Standards for weather data collection.
Did you want me to talk to it now?
Yeah, just to get clarity on that first bit, I just need a bit of clarity on...
Can I just make a comment, Mr Mayor, in regard to, I think I've certainly, if I may, appropriate the 1 to 4